Challenge your gifted child this summer. Is your child ready for summer learning without the textbook blues? I taught in the public education system 30 years ago. This is when we had children that were talented and gifted, but we didn't really have a specific program set up for them. So as a classroom teacher, I had 3 different levels of plans for every single lesson in my room. I had one lesson set up, and it was kind of like a variation of the lesson. So I would teach the same lesson, but then the way that the kids interacted with that lesson was different based on if they were a kiddo falling through the cracks, if they were someone at the expected learning level, or if they were a talented and gifted student. The key was when you learn how to do this, as we were taught how to do this as teachers at the time, talented and gifted students weren't given more work. Instead, they were given material to help them learn in a different way because they were still expecting and expected to learn. And this is an important way of wording it. Expected and expecting to learn. Children, regardless of their academic prowess, need to continue to learn over the summer. If your child is above grade level and able to maintain this learning, do not give them more of the same work. This is boring and will cause endless arguments and frustration on both of your parts. Instead, encourage your child to learn something new this summer. We're going to ditch the textbooks. Usually gifted children are naturally curious and they yearn to learn. Summer is an ideal time for gifted kids to explore new interests and passions outside of traditional classroom settings. By introducing them to foreign languages, art, or musical instruments, you can help develop their critical thinking, problem solving, and cognitive functions. This is like a trifecta. It's awesome. This article is focused on the talented and gifted kiddos. However, I strongly want to point out that every single child benefits and usually enjoys this way of being taught. Benefits for children to learn a foreign language. This is probably the longest section because I've spoken about art, and music goes along with art in a lot of ways. So we're going to really emphasize foreign language right now. Learning a foreign language offers numerous benefits to your child. It enhances their cognitive abilities, fosters cross-cultural understanding, and opens doors to new academic and career opportunities. In a global world, a person who can speak more than one language has an edge over other job-seeking candidates who can only speak one. I mean, that's just the facts. Enhanced executive function. Bilingual children often exhibit improved attention control, problem-solving skills, and multitasking abilities. The mental practice of switching back and forth between languages strengthens these executive functions. Improved memory. Engaging in language learning can bolster working memory, aiding to the retention and manipulation of information. Better understanding of native language. Studying a new language can deepen a child's grasp of linguistic structures, enhancing their understanding of their first language. Oh, yes, indeed. I totally am an example of this. I was learning my indirect and my direct objects, and it was probably in 8th grade that I totally understood them. Because when I was in 8th grade many, many years ago, but we actually would deconstruct sentences, and we'd have to figure out, we'd have to circle the direct object or the indirect object, and we would actually have to, and I can't even think of the word right now, where we'd have to lay them all out like they were a puzzle and deconstruct the whole thing. I never got the indirect and the direct objects right. However, when I learned Spanish, in Spanish, you have a different word, like you have le, L-E, that would be an indirect object. And you have lo, and that would be a direct object. So it became very clear, lo or law is a direct object, and le is an indirect object. So I could see how it was used and how it tied to the verbs. And all of a sudden, I was an ace at indirect and direct objects in English. Enhanced problem-solving skills. The process of learning a new language involves recognizing patterns and applying rules which can improve analytical thinking and problem-solving abilities. Cultural awareness. Learning another language exposes children to different cultures, fostering empathy and global awareness. Improved communication skills. Bilingualism can enhance a child's ability to communicate effectively as they learn to navigate different linguistic and social contexts. One of the biggest benefits financially of learning another language is a job or career opportunity. So how do you choose the right language for your child to learn? So there is no right or wrong language, in my opinion. Also, the mere learning of another language engages your child's brain in such a way that they are learning and benefiting. It doesn't matter which language it is. Now, I'm going to take a little pause right here because I know a lot of high schools are allowing you to take sign language as your foreign language. I have not researched that. I do not know that sign language has the exact same benefits as an actual learning of a spoken language. So that I cannot speak to. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that because I try to bring you complete facts when I'm doing that, which is why I have so many references in notes. Here are some of the key factors I would consider if I was choosing a foreign language with my child. 1, cultural relevance. That's like at the top of the list. Does anyone in your family speak a different language? Is your heritage from somewhere and the spoken language has been lost and your child was interested in it? Okay, a key example of this is my family was German. They were not shouting to the roofs their German heritage. So German totally got lost in our family. So that would have been a logical language for me to learn because Oma, my great-grandma was still alive and she did speak it. And I actually would have been able to speak that with her. But that was not encouraged in our family. However, that is something I'm saying would be a good thing to do. Would your child or your family be able to visit faraway relatives in a few years that speak a different language? I spoke in my summer bucket list about being able to go to Italy. Well, oh my heck, if you have family that lives in Italy and you're going to be able to put that on a bucket list in 5 years and your kiddo could maybe even serve as an interpreter, that would be super fabulous. 2, language difficulty. Learning a new language takes a lot of work, consistency, and patience. Some languages will be easier, especially if your child hears it around other family members. Also, languages that use the same alphabet that we do, a Latin alphabet, give your child an initial place to reference. Languages that have many words that sound similar to words in English also helps. However, I have a really embarrassing story about using words that sound similar. I love Spanish. I always wanted to learn Spanish, and I would recommend it to beginners. There's a lot of words that sound the same. Well, I was in one of my Spanish college classes, and I was asked a question by my professor. I can't even remember what the question was, but I do remember that I responded with, "This meant to me, I'm embarrassed. I can't find it." However, the word for embarrassed is vergüenza. Nothing like what it sounds like in English. And the English translation is pregnant. So if you put that together in front of my entire college class, what I really said is, "I'm pregnant. I can't find it." I was mortified when everyone was laughing and I had no idea why. The professor used it as a great lesson for why not all words were easy crossovers. If you are curious about languages that are similar sounding or easy for English speakers to learn, I recommend going to a page on Babbel, which I have in the notes. Babbel is an app that teaches many languages. It actually has listed on the page that says, from 1 to 12, the easiest languages to learn, a language, and I had no idea one of these existed other than English, that has no verb conjugations. And if you don't know a foreign language, verb conjugations are probably the hardest part, in my opinion. So I just loved that. That might be my second language on my bucket list. 3, personal interest. This is probably the most important reason to choose a specific language. Is your child interested in it? I wanted to learn Spanish worse than anything. From 5th grade, I was in love with the idea of Mexico. I was in love with the idea of learning Spanish. I wanted this so badly. And when I found out they offered it at my junior high in 7th grade in Boise, Idaho, okay, Boise, Idaho was like the size of like 35,000 at that time. I was lost. I was in love. I was impassioned. There was no way I was going to waste one of my electives on anything but Spanish. If you're a child passionate about learning, they're going to be more motivated to practice and improve their skills. So if your child has that kind of passion and it's for Latin, the language that isn't even spoken anymore, let them do it. Go for it. 4, career potential. If your child actually does become proficient in a foreign language, you cannot ignore job opportunities. This kind of reminds me of the old saying, you can fall in love with a rich man as easily as you can fall in love with a poor man. One really important part of choosing a language is what your child loves. However, if your child can fall in love with a language spoken in a career they may eventually be interested in, or if you feel they will be living in an area with a lot of speakers of a certain language, like in Canada where they speak French, this would be a preferred choice. Now, again, you don't want to push that if they're in love with something else, but if you have wiggle room, that would be one of the things I would consider. 5, definitely availability of resources. Finding a personal tutor may be difficult and will definitely be expensive. I have seen summer courses for children for Spanish and French at our local community college. We also have discussion groups for teens at a beginner level in Spanish at our library. So that would hold interest for most teens to be able to go to the library and they just learn through discussion. So what I'm saying is you're going to look at the relevance of availability. We don't have that in German. We don't have that in Mandarin. We don't have it in Cantonese. We don't have it in any of those other kind of languages here in our area. But there are also many apps, online courses, and then of course, if you're able to do this, a cultural exchange program. So by learning a new language, your child can embark on a journey that unlocks a world of benefits and opportunities, and it also will definitely grow your child's mind exponentially. So if you start that over the summer, you don't even have to worry about workbook sheets or math sheets or reading sheets. You don't have to worry about any of that. You can just do language, and your child's mind will not start to, atrophy. I love that word, atrophy. So now we're going to go on to art. An art program, because remember, we're going a level up for our talented and gifted kiddos. This is not DIY craft time. The purpose of this article is to help you find a program that engages your child while fostering intellectual growth beyond the classroom. That's what we're doing with this one. I did all these summer learning activities that you can do for all ages already, and that had a whole bunch of arts and crafts type things on them that were also learning activities. That's not what this is. This is actual programs that you can sink your teeth into. I have also already covered the phenomenal benefits of art in a previous article, as well as the different modalities and the benefits your child gleans from each of them. Both of those will be in the notes. So I'm not going to go into either of those things at length. There are many different types of arts. Music is one, and I will cover that as its own topic. Here are some ideas to get you started. Visual arts, drawing and illustration, I messed that up. So in the visual arts, you have drawing and illustration, which develops fine motor skills, spatial awareness, and observation skills. It enhances creativity and storytelling through imagery. Painting strengthens color theory, knowledge, patience, and problem solving as children experiment with techniques and mediums. Sculpture and ceramics. This actually improves spatial reasoning, three-dimensional thinking, and hands-on craftsmanship. It fosters perseverance through detailed sculpting. Digital art and animation enhances technical and design skills, introducing principles of movement, storytelling, and digital tools used in a lot of creative industries. Photography encourages a deeper understanding of composition, lighting, and perspective while honing attention to detail and visual storytelling. Performing arts and theater and acting builds confidence, emotional intelligence, and public speaking skills, teaches empathy through character exploration. And dance improves coordination, discipline, and self-expression, strengthens physical endurance, and appreciation for movement as an art form. So multidisciplinary and emerging art forms. Film and cinematography develops story and technical skills in directing, editing, script writing, and enhances collaboration and problem solving. Architecture and design strengthens mathematical and engineering thinking, spatial visualization, and creative problem solving in designing functional spaces. Fashion and design and sewing encourages creativity, precision, and an understanding of textiles and form, fosters patience and appreciation for craftsmanship. Think beyond the typical craft project. So you'll notice all of those were big things to do. Give your child opportunities to dive deeply into a discipline that ignites their passion and sparks their creativity. So remember, it's more than a hobby. It can be a powerful tool for learning, growth, and self-expression. So now we're going to get into the benefits of children learning a musical instrument. So gifted children often possess exceptional cognitive abilities, which can translate into accelerated learning and mastery of complex subjects, including music. If your goal is to expand your child's ability to learn this summer, not to give them more work, learning a musical instrument is an excellent option. Research has shown that a musical education helps to improve the following: cognitive skills, enhanced memory, spatial temporal skills, and mathematical abilities, emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, empathy, and self-awareness, social skills, improved communication, teamwork, and leadership abilities, and academic performance, higher grades, and academic achievement in various subjects. So summer is a great time for kids to try new things and discover what they love beyond school. You can help them grow their thinking, problem solving, and understanding of different cultures by introducing them to new languages, art, or a musical instrument. Kids movie quote, venture outside your comfort zone. The rewards are worth it. If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, I want to send you a huge thank you. Please leave me a comment or review and share with other moms you know. Get in touch in the comments or on Kara's social media networks. See you next week for a new episode.